Friday night live 14. We're up to. There's a few people here already. Rodney, g'day Rodney. Brian, I saw your comment there a minute ago where you said it was 12, but I went back through and it's definitely 14, mate. Peter's here and Michael. Just me tonight, Michael and Peter and Nadia. G'day David and Nadia, good to see you. And Craig, g'day Craig. I was speaking to Craig earlier on today, having a good chat. So for those that don't know who I am, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. I've got a shop in Brisbane here, but every Friday night we sit around and we talk about metal detecting. So here we go, 14 times we've all done it. So, Troy, Brian, you've got a life now, mate. You bought a metal detector. So, g'day Justin, Cleggy's here. Good to see you, Cleggy. He is the absolute guru, and I rely on Justin a fair bit with my XP Deus. Justin's the expert when it comes to Deus. So, I've been referring to him a fair bit lately with my my Deus. So. David's here, Sue, Troy, Jess, g'day Jess, how you going? So, a number of things happening here tonight. We've had a, right at this moment, for those that aren't in Brisbane, we've had a huge amount of rain in Brisbane over the last couple of days, last 24 hours really. This is I think this is Norman Creek in Brisbane, so we've had a lot of rain. I think we've had as of at home there, we'd had 4 inches at 9 o'clock this morning, so a lot of rain. It's been raining all day, so yeah, it's there's been certainly been lots of rain, lots of lunatics floating down the creek with their cars. So yes, so there's been a lot going on. And that brings me to another point where we're on there's the weather radar a couple of minutes ago. We're right in that little gap there at the moment. So hopefully we don't get too much rain, because I'm in a shed here with a tin roof on it. So it can get very, very noisy if we don't have if we got a lot of rain, sort of thing. So tonight we're just going to talk about, I'm going to answer a lot of questions. I've got a little bit of new stuff to come in. We'll do a bit of a recap of the Redcliffe show. We'll do the Redcliffe show now. We had a really good time up at Redcliffe. Warren was there for 3 days and Craig came out for 1, which was fantastic. My God, it was hot though. Whenever there wasn't any breeze, it was just terribly hot. But thankfully, every afternoon we had some breeze, and it was all good. So, and it was fantastic to see a lot of you guys actually come up and say good day, which was like Warren, Craig, and I all commented on how good it was to see everyone up there. So, thank you all for coming along and supporting us. It was great to have a chat. So, yes. So Craig's on next week. I'm hoping. We're still talking about that. So, yes. So, right. So, okay. So who else is here? Mike's here. G'day, Mike. Josh. Craig. Josh is here. The VLF. Well, actually, this is Josh asked a question about the new Pro Pointer. I have it here. It's this is the Tech Point one. This is a pulse induction pinpointer. It only came in, when was it? Yesterday. So it's brand new. I haven't had a try of it yet. I really want to take it out to the goldfields and give it a good go at the goldfields, because that's what it's supposed to be really good at, the highly mineralised ground. So, so it's going to be fantastic. It actually may be we might do a test next week. If Craig's here and maybe Warren's here, we might even get all 3 of us here and we'll have a good play with all these pinpointers. I'm starting to collect them here. So we've got pinpointers everywhere. So, but that's the new pulse induction pinpointer. It takes AA batteries, so no 9 volt. It'll be at the moment they're about 230. So about the same as the Garrett, about as much as the Garrett Carrot. And that's the other thing too with pinpointers. The Garrett Carrot is about the same price as the Pro Pointer 2. If anyone's looking at buying a Pro Pointer and you want a Garrett one, don't buy the Pro Pointer 2, buy the Carrot. It's a better machine. So, right, yes, waterproof, I believe, to 10 feet, Jess. So, pulse induction, it's very, very similar. All these high-end pro pointers tend to be fairly similar in that it's waterproof, it's got one button on it, it's got a light on it, it's got different sensitivity levels, all that sort of thing. Lost pro pointer alarm, so if you leave it somewhere. I'm not a huge fan of the colour, because you put that down in some bush, you'll lose it because it's so green and dark. And it's got a little clip here to put your lanyard on it, like that sort of lanyard that we talk about. But the biggest advantage of this fella is that it's pulse induction. So hopefully it won't be worried by the mineralisation on the beach or out in the goldfield. So we'll get into pro pointers next week or the week after, depending on what Craig has got on, and Craig and Warren come on next week. So, right. Yes, I actually think it's a good little pro pointer, that. I think it'll be good, but Nicole's here. G'day, Nicole. I hope Brett's there with you and not out working. So, g'day, Jamie and Peter's here as well. Hello, guys. Yeah, David, we did sell a lot of that gear at the show. Not all of it, but I had to go looking for some coin on Monday, but that's all right. That's part of the game. So, yes, yeah, it's all good. So, what else have we got here new? Now, we're going to actually, when we do the Pro Pointer thing, I'm going to give away one of these, but we're not going to do that tonight because I've got some other new things that have come in. I'm going to give away 3 different things tonight, and we've got 3 new things come into the shop, so we may as well give them away. Set of scales. I've got a whole stack of scales coming through, and we picked this one as the best one. It's not the cheapest. It's about $40, but it does 500 grams down to 0.1 of a gram. It does 100 grams, but down to 0.01 of a gram. So it's a good little scale there. So we'll be giving one of them away to anyone who shares the video. We've got to share the video to win the prizes, and at the end of the thing we'll give away the prizes. So that's the scale, $35. So the scale. I've been doing a lot of these testing here. We've got these loops that have come in. So a loop, it's a little jeweler's loop. Let me hold that up close to the camera there. It's a 30 times loop. So it's a high magnification. You don't really want a low magnification, I think. I like the high magnification so you can really see what you're looking at. So they're just new in, and it'll go out to someone tonight if I can ever get it back in the box. They're $25, and then these are a bit interesting. These two are something we just bought in for a bit of fun. These are collapsible divining rods. So set them up like that. You got a set of divining rods, and they fold up nice and small like that. It's got a little pen clip you can put in your pocket. So divining rods is the other thing. We've got divining rods now. They're going to be $30, those divining rods, pair of those divining rods. So just a couple of little things that we've tested, and we've got a lot of this gear in just to test it out and see what happens. So yes, so those are three things, and we'll give them away to people who have shared the live stream during the live stream tonight. So yeah, Brian, we've had a lot of rain. It's unbelievable. There's water everywhere. So Nadia just asked a question about the depth on these pinpointers. Now, there's two things. Better quality pinpointers will get you more depth, right? However, I think for a good pro pointer, you don't want a huge amount of depth. So there's a balance there. If you've got a huge amount of depth, you're detecting things at 6 inches away, and you don't really want that. You want to be able to get it closer, sort of thing. So, but we'll get into all that next time. So, yes. Yeah, Josh, the thing with scales, like we've like scales and loops and all this sort of stuff, you can buy them really, really cheap on some of these other websites that come direct from China and what have you. But like a lot of that stuff you buy and you untested, and it's pretty, some of it can be pretty crappy. Some of it's good, but you don't know the difference. So, for instance, these scales, for instance, over the last couple of months, I've ordered 20 lots of scales just to find one that's a good, reliable scale. So, yeah, so these are a good quality one, and they're more expensive than all the cheap ones, that's for sure, but that's what you got to do. So, right, so who else is here? Hello, Carolyn. Good to see you on the weekend. So we saw a lot of people on the weekend. So thank you all for sharing. It's very much appreciated. Someone will win all of our bits and pieces tonight. So Brett's here. G'day, Brett. Good to see you. Yeah, there's a huge amount of water in Brisbane. Oh, I need a haircut, Brian. Jeez, I haven't got that much left, mate. So, yeah. Right, so Philip's back out to Bingo, getting back into Fosking after surgery. I hope you're recovering quickly, mate. So, yeah. Yes, so, yeah, Peter missed the show. That's okay. Yeah, we saw a lot of people up at the show. So, we've got those new items. We had a really, really good show at Redcliffe. It was very, very hot, but very, very good. So, right. Now, I've had a lot of people come to me in the last, I suppose the last month, to look at changing the night of the show to a Monday night. A lot of people are busy on a Friday night, and a lot of people have suggested maybe Monday night might be better. So I'd be very, very interested in your thoughts and what you think, whether would make any difference if we change it to Monday night. So, because it seems to be a consensus that a lot of people are busy on a Friday night. So, yeah, so from next week, we're going to change it to Monday and see what happens. So, yes. So, a couple of people have just asked, and I don't think I've ever even really seriously tried divining rods. But the theory is you hold them and let them loose, and whatever you come at, like a lot of people divine for water, and they'll cross over when you get to water, allegedly. I've never had any success with it. A lot of people say they can do it for gold as well. I don't know, but apparently they work, and it's not necessarily the quality of the divining rod, it's actually the bloke doing it. So, yeah. Right, so Mark asked the question, what show we'll be going to next. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to try and get up and do the Claremont Golden Coal Festival, and then the Gem Fest at Anarchy up near Sapphire. I'm going to try to go to... I had a great time going out to the Roma show. Actually, the town of Roma is actually the show. That was a very, very good thing for us. I don't think we'll be going, not last year, the year just gone, but the year before we did 20 shows from Melbourne to right up north. So I don't think we're doing that. I think we'll be just sticking fairly local. I'll probably do the Cleveland show this year, which is later in the year, but I won't be going to any of the big Brisbane shows. They tend to be very, very expensive, like thousands of dollars for a stand. So we'll keep you informed about where we're going and what we're going to be doing. So yeah. Right, Rodney, when you ask for permission to detect on a place, what do you offer people who owns the place? There's a couple of different things I do. And a couple of things that I've borrowed off other people. A signed indemnity form against any sort of insurance is always a good... people are always worried about insurance these days. So if you've got a signed form saying, listen, if I fall over and break my neck, I'm not going to see it, that's a good start. And then it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for relics, most people just want to see what's there and have the option to, you know, cherry pick. If you find a ring that mum lost 30 years ago, they probably want that back. So it's a bit of a conversation about that. As far as gold in goldfields, it's, you know, it's a bit of a, depends on where you are. Places like Warwick and that, where you get hit pretty hard, it's pretty tough to get on unless you know someone. But, you know, normally I do a lot of stuff with just filming. Like, I just want to film. And a lot of people, when I approach it that way, I say, oh, well, as long as it's nothing too big, you can keep it. So, so that's one way to approach it, or 50-50 or 70-30, whatever you think the fair thing is. But if you approach it like I'm willing to share what I think and let them sort of have that conversation. So, yes, so that's how I approach that. So, yes, so permission's always the hardest thing. And Rodney, the best place to do it is if you know someone. So, yes. Brian saw a UFO. Excellent, Brian. Maybe that's good. So, as you can probably hear, the rain's just picked up. Just let me know if it becomes too much, and I don't know what I can do, but we'll see what we can do. So, silver rods, yeah, defining rods as silver rods. So they work, yeah, they work for water. So I've just got no idea how to use them. I've never played with them before, so yeah. Brandon's here, and Peter. Peter, we can probably get to New South Wales. Whereabouts are you in New South Wales, Peter? Because I have looked at a couple of shows down that way, so... David had some divining rods made from old fencing wire. That's awesome, mate. Yeah. Did you ever find any water with them, David? That's the trick with it. So, yeah. Craig makes another good point here. What the word I was looking for there before is an insurance waiver. If you've got an insurance waiver, a lot of people know that you can't. You're doing the right thing. So that's always a great thing. So. Yeah, Gemfest 9th and 12th of August, so that'll be a little way away. So, do you have any form of agreement? I always have, by the Fossicking Act, because I do a lot of gold, by the Fossicking Act, you're supposed to have written permission, and there's a space on the back of the Fossicking permit that gives you, that you can sign and make an agreement. But, yeah, like, you're best to have some sort of something in mind or an agreement written up that, you know, you can scribble some notes on or fill in the spaces and, you know, go from there. So, and the trick is to get out and do it. If you get out and do it, you'll find what works for you. Like I do a lot of, like I try to do a lot of filming. So when it's filming, I'm more interested in the film than I am in the targets to a degree. So yeah, so right. Craig has a code of ethics printed on you've got a business card or something, don't you, Craig, I think? Or have you got a sheet of paper? G'day, Greg. Loving tonight's show. That's great, Greg. Don't forget to share the live stream. If you can share the live stream, we've got prizes to give away, divining rods, all sorts of stuff. So make sure you share it. And if you know someone who is into prospecting, tag them in the live stream as well. That way they can join in the fun. Brian's finding it hard to find places in Brisbane. It is closed down a lot, but as you get to know your own area, you get better at that, Brian. I never have any problems with parks. I never have any problems with the beaches. Like Warren, I know, does some of the old riverbanks and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's just a matter of thinking a bit lateral outside of the box. You know, I know people in Brisbane that do circuses after they've left, and the old showgrounds and that sort of thing. So, yes. So, yeah. So, Sean, pretty dry down at Yarrawonga in Victoria, right? Yeah, we're getting so much rain here. There's so much flooding. Yeah. Right. Yes, Neil, we had a great show. It was very hot at times. So, thanks, Trevor and Josh. Yeah, it is. Is it different detecting in the north to the south? Yeah, Josh. I mean, it varies wherever you go. So, in North Queensland, Warren talks a lot about the speargrass, and depending on what the wet season's been like, and you can't get to a lot of places for years on end because the grass is too tall. You go down to Victoria, it's like a park. You know, the grass is short, and it's, you know, so a lot of the areas are very, very good for yeah, a lot of them are very, very, you know, it varies so much. So yeah, so I'm glad you like the AT Max, Trevor. It's a great machine. Yeah, and Cleggy makes a good point here. Get on Google Earth and you can start to look at some of these old areas, and you will look at where did people go swimming, where were the race courses, where's the historical places that people gathered. It's normally very, very good for relics. So yeah, thank you, Alison. How are you? Yes, Jamie, go into the get in after the circus, so it's great. That's good, Diana. Good to see you, Diana. Yes. Now, can everyone? I'm getting a lot of rain here at the moment, so I hope everyone can hear me. I've had to switch off to the microphone on my chest, so hope everyone can hear me over the rain. So yes. Garrett, Nicole asks our pinpointer, Garrett Carrot, beeps every so often when we're out using it. What does that mean? Battery's going flat or just a feature so we don't lose it? It should be, you should turn it off, Nicole. When you're not using it, just saves the battery. But I suspect it might be a flat battery. There is a flat battery alarm on it. So it could be just a flat battery going off. So yes. Oh, Cleggy doesn't want it. We can't share this with anyone, but the local historical society. So there's a good trick. So yes. So now that's another thing that never ever gets done. Who reminded me of that? Andrew. Andrew just reminded me. The old Cobb & Co routes, they're very close to built up areas in a lot of places. So they follow the old roads and that sort of thing. So any of the old Cobb & Co routes are phenomenal. So yeah. All good. Oh, Geordie, we'll send the rain down. We've had a lot of rain. So it's rained basically like this all day. So yeah. So yeah. That's good. G'day Robin, how are you? Neil. Look for different unusual. Yeah. So Neil makes another good point, particularly out in the bush. Looking for an unusual flower or trees, because that could be all that's left of an old homestead. We use a similar sort of thing, gold prospecting as well, particularly the blokes in Victoria. The early Chinese miners, we're talking 1850s, 1860s, used to chew, I forget what it is now, but it was a seed, a fruit of a seed. They used to spit the seeds out. And these trees used to grow, and they're a specific sort of tree. So that was that's the indication that a lot of the old Chinese workings were there with the seed. Nicole, you changed the battery and it kept doing it. So if that keeps doing that, Nicole, something might be wrong with it and I might need to have a look at it for you. That doesn't sound right unless it's the loss, unless you're leaving it on for a long period of time and it's beeping to remind you, unless it's the lost pro pointer alarm. So what I tend to do is have it off most of the time. So yeah. Yeah, David, cherry trees, yeah, down south. There's a couple of different types, I think. I'm not 100% sure. So, yeah. Mark, Cobb & Co tracks. You can just look up the old Cobb & Co routes, and there's maps of them, and you can track down the old stations. And yes, yeah. So you can track down the old Cobb & Co routes pretty easily. There's a lot of maps around for your local area. I know if you're local in Toowoomba, there's a Cobb & Co museum. So, you know, I reckon they might have a couple of maps there. So, oh, and Craig mentions that Trove have them as well. So, right. So, we're getting a lot of rain. Oh, Brian, that's interesting. You're meeting up with Peter Dunn next week. maybe Peter might like to come on the show one night. We'll get Warren and Craig on. We'll have a round table discussion with Peter Dunn about Trove. So that would be interesting. So there's Peter's sort of done all that Trove off his own back. So it's a phenomenal thing. So Mark, Trove is, if you search in Trove on the website on Google, it brings up, and Trove is a list of. So Trove is the government site. We're mixing the two up here. Well, I am anyway. I think you guys are right, but. So Trove is the government site. It's got every newspaper ever published in Australia on it, Mark. So you can go on there and look at all the old newspapers from, I think the earliest one's about 1830, something like that. Might be earlier. But you can look at all the newspapers. So the beauty of that is that you can go and look at the Ipswich Times and look at race meetings in 1910, before the war. So yeah. So Peter Dunn's site is Oz at War, and it's all the old war history. So if you want to know where the American base was in World War II, just outside Townsville, you'll be able to look that up at Peter Dunn's site, and it's called Oz at War. So and Brian's meeting up with Peter Dunn next week to, he's got some old photos by the look of it, so, yeah. Yes, so, Josh, have I found much gold on my recent trip? No, I haven't been out for ages looking for gold. Here's a little bit, I don't know whether you can even see that. There's a little bit there. But no, I haven't been out a whole lot to the goldfields. It's been too hot, even in Brisbane. It's just been pretty hot and pretty uncomfortable. And you know, when you get a cool day, you know, I've got something on and what have you. But I've been doing a fair bit of beach stuff, so yeah. So it's great. So Georgetown, I think Warren knows a bit more about Georgetown than I do. I think it's all closed there, but you just need to check on that, Josh. A lot of those areas, people haven't been doing the right thing with them, and so a lot of those sites are being closed a little bit, or the area's reduced a lot. So yeah, just check on that. But yes, Brett, roof's not leaking. It's pretty steamy in here, so yes, it is warm. So although I could have had the fan on tonight with this much background noise, it wouldn't have worried anyone. So yeah, Brian, I get very nervous. So yeah, so it sounds like that might be the lost pro pointer alarm, Nicole. So yeah, so Nicole, normally how I work it is I've got the pro pointer off until I find a target. And I turn it on, it's on for 5 minutes, then I turn it off and put it back in its holster. So that's how I work it. So it's probably just that lost pro pointer alarm. So yeah, so Georgetown, yeah, if there's been some good rain up there, Josh, you need to get up there pretty quick before the grass grows, and yeah, it should be any sort of water movement will help you out in the goldfields. So right, so people who have late joining us, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. We have 3 different things, giveaways tonight: a set of scales, a good 30 by loop, and some divining rods, expandable designing rods. to give away tonight. You just need to share this live stream so we can get the word out there. And while you're at it, you can tag a mate who should be watching it. So yes. So yes, Peter, I'm going to go and have a beer in about 25 minutes, half hour. So it's all good. So right. So the other thing that I noticed down in the earlier on in the comments is we may as well, Craig's just mentioned it there, the conductivity in the rain. When it rains, it amplifies the depth of your machine's reach. So for instance, out in the goldfields, the little patch of ground that Warren and I, a little patch of gold that Warren, Colleen, myself, Frank and Danny found, that was after a rainy night, right? So it was fine gold, and it wasn't very deep, but it was sort of at the limit of the machines, I would suspect, or certainly some of the machines. But I think we only found that patch because it had rained the night before and the ground was wet, right? It wasn't raining at the time, it was a pretty warm day, but the ground was wet. And what that did is just amplified all those signals up. So after this rain, it should be a phenomenal, it should be very, very good to detect in the rain or just after the rain, during the rain. If you've got a waterproof machine, should be just phenomenal detecting in the next, as soon as it stops raining in southeast Queensland, there'll be a lot of detectors out because it's much better for the rain. So the other thing, I've been watching a lot of the reports from the Gold Coast. That big surf down the Gold Coast that we've had in the last sort of week has really opened up the Gold Coast again. There was a lot of sand building up on the beaches. It was dramatic how much sand was there. There was, you know, a couple of the beaches I go through, I go to, there was maybe, it seemed like there was like 10 feet of sand over the normal beach level, which is a huge amount of sand. So apparently a few of these beaches have got big cuts in them now. And what we're talking about cuts is where the beach is normally that shape, but because the waves come in and it's washed half of it out. So now it's still that sort of shape, but it's got this big cut off to a new low bit down here. So that's the cut on the beach. So you want to be detecting at the bottom of the cut. And apparently people are having a lot of fun down the Gold Coast at the moment. So phenomenal detecting after big storms, after the sand's been laid. Because what will happen is all those fines from that sand that's been washed away, because they're heavy, they'll just drop straight down. So they drop straight down and they're there ready to be detected. So Diana, you can get tons of different brands of scales. We're selling these ones. I've tested them. I know they're pretty good. So if you go to our website, Gold Diggers Metal Detectors, we've got them there, I believe. I think they're up already. So yes, pretty good, isn't it? Now, g'day Brody, how are you? You know, listening to this man knows what he's talking about. Well, advice to new hobbies, maybe listen to someone's experience. The industry has friends and advice. Well, Josh, that's very kind of you. I have been doing it for a little while, and I don't know anything really about a lot of different subjects. But you know, Craig, the amount of knowledge that Craig and Warren have about ex-military camps, it just blows my mind. And it's not something I'm that into. So, like, I don't know a lot about it, you know, a lot of things. So there's a few bits and pieces I reckon I know. Been doing a fair bit, so I know my way around. But that's very kind of you to say, Josh. Thank you very much. So, right. Jamie asked, do a lot of machines struggle in wet sand on beaches? My 200i seems to get heaps of false signal. Okay, in the dry, is this common? Yes, very, very common. For the cheaper machines, I'd say below about $1,000. There is some below that, but below $1,000, you don't get a ground balance on the machine. So you can't tune the ground out. And you really need to go to a machine that's got a ground balance on it. And what that ground balance does, it actually tunes the salt out of the salt out, so you don't hear the salt. So there's a lot of false signals with the salt. It's hearing the salt. Would be exactly the same if you took the 200 out to the goldfields. That really heavily mineralised ground out in the goldfields, like some of it's magnetic. Like that's a bucket full of ironstone. I haven't got a magnet here, I don't think, but you put a magnet on that, and the magnet, it just all sticks to the magnet. So, yes, so it will struggle out in the goldfield. So so your 200 won't handle that, and any cheaper machine below about $1,000 won't tend to handle that very well. So there's two solutions to that. Well, it's three solutions. Buy another machine, but the two more sensible solutions are, one is you can put a double decoil on it. And what a double decoil does, I haven't even got that graphic here, I don't think, no. But there's a concentric coil on it. It's a round coil that you've got on it at the moment. And what that does is it's got a lot of ground underneath that coil. So if you went to a double decoil, it actually only gets, it's like a knife edge going into the ground. So there's a lot less soil or ground underneath the coil. So that helps dramatically. Then the other thing you can do is you need to wind that sensitivity back until it's a more reasonable level. You'll still get some false signals, but till it's that more, you know, it's usable. So, and then the other thing is choosing, so for instance, at the moment, down on the beach, because there's so much fresh water washing that salt through, right? You could probably get very, very low on the beach into the wet sand because there's so much fresh water pushing that through. It's actually the salt that's knocking you about. It's not actually the mineralisation in the soil, it's the salt water. So, and then the other alternative is stay on the dry sand and get really good at the recent drops. So, because there's still a lot of recent drops coming, so yeah. So I hope that helps a little bit, Jamie. So yes, AT Max won't have any troubles on the beach or out in the goldfields. It'll still be a little noisy, but it's controllable. So, right. Yes, I am getting some caps and shirts and stuff made up, Brett. I've just been a bit busy with a lot of stuff, so I've been slack. I wouldn't say lazy, just slack. Thanks, Josh. Josh is another nice compliment. Josh is throwing these compliments around tonight. So, yes. So, yes, Craig is the guru when it comes to the military sites. So, yeah, he is a good bloke. Craig, you might have a list of people coming. You might, we might have to put something together here if everyone's calling Craig. So, yes. G'day Lisa, good to see you. Better late than never. Dave's here, Andrew's here. Yeah, so Craig makes another point that I probably should have mentioned when we were talking about the ACE 200. If you wind the sensitivity back, you're losing depth, right? So there's this fine balance between getting false signals and losing depth. So quite often though, if you get a false signal and you take a little bit of soil off, a couple of inches, 3-4 inches off, and that signal disappears, it's ground noise. So that's another way to work around that, in that get a signal, you scratch it back, signal disappears or changes. Yes. So, yes. Brian. Yes, I'm doing stickers, I'm doing caps, I'm doing polo shirts, I'm doing long sleeve, like t-shirts that might have gold diggers down the side. What else am I getting? Caps. Did I mention caps? Oh, I'm talking to someone at the moment about everyone knows I like to wear I actually wear a straw cowboy hat out in the bush, and I picked up a new hat there last week, and I'm in talks with them, getting them to do something with the straw hat, because they're an Australian company. They're just here at Slacks Creek. I don't think they're made in Australia, but geez, they're a nice hat. So yeah, but anyway, so Lisa, I've got a few YouTube things up there. Gold diggers. In fact, we're simulcast on YouTube tonight. The last couple of weeks we've been simulcast on YouTube. So if that helps, if people prefer to watch on YouTube. I don't get the comments from YouTube though, so until after the event. So yes, Craig might need a bus, Brian, to take everyone out detecting. So yeah. So Mark, what's the best coil for the 400i? The coil it's on, it's pretty good, Mark. It's a little double D coil, so you won't have that mineralisation issue as much with that double D coil. You could put a Nell coil on it. I like those Nell coils. They're an aftermarket coil. They're about $250. But the best coil would be, would depend on what you're hunting for. So if you're hunting for gold out in the gold fields, I would be putting a much smaller coil on it. If you were heading down the beach, I would probably put a bigger coil on it. Probably not too much bigger, but so it depends on what sort of detecting you do, Mark. So Craig's bus list, yes. Yes, we've all got YouTube channels, Lisa, too. Craig's got one. A lot of good stuff comes out of that. Warren from NQ Explorers has got one. Mine's got the least on it, so because I do a lot of gold detecting, but there's a full session there of how of finding some gold nuggets out in the bush there. So feel free. Yeah, Trevor, weird signals at the beach. Didn't matter how far I dug down, didn't move. It stopped giving me a number, and then yeah, see, okay, the rocks that are pointing out of the sand giving you a signal, that is probably the change in the mineralisation between the sand and the rock, and probably a lot to do with the salt in the sand hitting the rock which doesn't have any salt in it. So that's where you're getting those false signals there. So you will, because that salt, I take it we're talking about the 200 here, because that salt's all through the sand layer and will go very, very deep, there will be a freshwater layer sitting underneath it, but because it's fairly deep, you can get that signal travelling down. You should be able to, though, if you're pinpointing the target in two directions, right? the signal for the salt should be a rounded signal, where the signal for a good target should be a real hit, almost like it's hard to describe, but I describe it as like the coil hitting the target as it goes across, whereas if it's just ground mineralisation or salt, it'll be a much more round noise. So yes, everyone's after a hat and a badge and what have you. So yes, so yeah, Craig's is Aussie Metal Detecting YouTube channel. Warren's YouTube channel is NQ Explorers. He's got a fantastic channel. So yeah, Hobo's Gold YouTube. Is that your channel, Johnny? I'll have to have a look at that. It's good. It's a good name, Hobo's Gold. Awesome. Actually, that's a good idea, Mark. I'll put a post up about everyone's YouTube channel, because I reckon everyone's got one. So it'll be great. So yeah. Thanks, Cleggy. See you next week, hopefully. Oh, you're going to give me a ring tomorrow? Beautiful, Cleggy. I'd like to talk to you. And let me tell you, I've been using that. I'm getting better and better at that XP Deus machine. Oh, it is a phenomenal machine. Like, the speed that picks up different targets and the target separation is just amazing. So yeah. Right, wow, Johnny, 1.7 views. That's amazing. Right, so for those that have come on fairly late, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. We do this every Friday night where we just chat about detecting. If you can share the show, we've got 3 prizes tonight. We've got some divining rods, some a little jeweler's loop, which is fantastic for your finds out in the field, and a set of scales that we've tested here. So if you share the post, in about 10 minutes time, I will pick the winners, and then I'll contact you just after the show. So I've got to, now don't forget also, I forgot to mention this a few times now, we're going to change it. We're going to try this on a Monday night and see how we go. Maybe we can, we'll try it we'll try it on a Monday night for a few weeks and see how we go. So, Andrew, the AT Max is a phenomenal machine, but I have been using the XP Deus a fair bit lately. It's a much more expensive machine. Like, the AT Max is like $12.99, or $12.50, let's say. The XP machine for the same sort of package is about $2,200. So they're sort of different machines. The XP Deus is a bit more like the CTX, the Minelab CTX 3030, where the AT Max is very similar to the Equinox. So just to give you a bit of an idea, but I'm using both machines. The AT Max is a great machine on the beach out in the goldfields. I just sort of think that what I enjoy about the XP machine is that you can change everything on it. Like, you can change the programs, you can change the frequency, you can do all sorts of cool stuff. The quick start guide's about this thick, which for a bloke that's into metal detecting, it's a real, like, I like that. So, yeah, so for a VLF machine, both of those machines are phenomenal. Like, the AT Max is turn it on, away you go. Like, it's that simple. And the performance is very, very good on it. But the XP, you can get in there and change it all and what have you. So, right, Josh, what about the GPZ7000? Great machine, pulse induction machine. Very different to the Max and the XP Deus or the 3030 or the Gold Monster or Equinox. Has anyone got an Equinox? Be interesting to see if anyone's got an Equinox. It'll be interesting. So, yes. Brian's not drunk on a Monday night. Yes, Josh likes the idea. Right, good. So it won't be this Monday, so that'll be too short. It'll just be the following week. So, drinking on Monday, that's allowed. Right, Monday Night Live, it doesn't have the same ring. I know, Nicole, but we'll have a crack. So, we'll see what we come up with. So, Greg talks about the SDC 2300. Yes, it's a good machine too. Yes. So, white. I don't quite understand that, Brian. White something. Yeah, just the AT, all the Garrett AT machines, AT Gold, AT Pro, AT Max, ATX are just so simple to use. So, yeah. Compared to the XP, you can leave the XP in the standard mode, but you can just change everything on it. So, yeah. Yeah, small gold, the SDC is fantastic. So's the ATX with the 8-inch monocoil on it. That's a quality machine. So, but the SDC is excellent on the small gold. So, Monday Madness is catchy. It is catchy, Andrew. Right, so let's see here and see if we can get we can have a look at these shares, and we'll pick some people who have shared. I've got random numbers written down here. Mad Mondays with Ben. Geez, that sounds dangerous. Right, so the first winner is Rodney Hampston. Rodney has won a set of divining rods. So Rodney, congratulations, you've got the divining rods. Then we scroll down here. Stephen has won the scales. So I will contact you straight after the show, and where are we? Jamie Wilson. Jamie, congratulations. You've won a loop. So that's fantastic, Jamie. Let me just bring up let me just bring it up here. Where's Jamie gone? Right, so I will contact you straight after the show and organise to pick that up. Not pick it up, I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'll post them out to you. So, yes. So, got some questions here. White Sierra Pulse Pro. Never used one, Brian. Some of the White gear is very good quality, but yeah, so Brandon got a couple of bits with the SDC last week. That's good. G'day Bob, good to hear. First time listener, so great to have you here. Deb's here, and everyone's saying congrats to everyone. Craig, does the XP have a Apple app for updates. No, it doesn't. You've got to plug it into a computer. Craig, I don't know why that is. Yes, so that's everyone there. So next week we might even have Warren from NQ Explorers on, as well as Craig. We might have a crack at the doing a pinpointer review. So that will be fantastic. Thank you again for everyone who liked the show, shared it, tagged a mate, and for your support for the show. It's muchly appreciated. I'm humbled by the amount of people that came and said g'day and wanted to meet myself and Warren on the weekend. So it was fantastic. So that'll do it for tonight. So thanks very much, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Good night, everyone. Bye.